everyone. Welcome to this week's celebration of service for the Bloomington Rotary Club. It's June 21st, and I'm Sally Gaskell, your president. This is week 51 of my presidency. Thank you, thank you. Coincidentally, it's also the longest day of the year. There is more daylight today and less darkness than any other day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's also called the summer solstice. Actually, in case you wondered, the summer solstice already arrived this morning at 5:14 a.m. At that precise moment, the sun appeared directly over the Tropic of Cancer, as far north as it appears in the sky all year. Around the solstice, Wikipedia tells us, the sun's northward movement in the sky appears to pause ever so slightly before reversing direction for the next 6 months. It's also another hot and steamy day here in Bloomington and throughout the Midwest. This extreme weather, since we're on the topic, is of course a result of climate change. So be careful out there, everyone. Don't exert. Please be seated. And Ashley Wesley is on Zoom, and I would like for her to take it away with this week's reflection. Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for entertaining me on Zoom here today. I had some car trouble yesterday, and so I'm not with you in person, unfortunately, but I'm here. So I'm reflecting today on all of the expertise and experience that our Rotarians have to offer the community. I am the new chair of the Vocational Service Committee, and I'd like to start all of us thinking about ways that we can share our experience with each other and with emerging leaders. The Vocational Service Committee has not been formally organized for several years, but I'd like to share what it's all about. It focuses on adherence to and promotion of the highest ethical standards in all occupations, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, not just those pursued by Rotarians, and the contribution of your vocational talents to solving the problems of society and meeting the needs of the community. So that being said, we already pursue this in so many ways in our Rotary Club. We honor community members' contributions through the toast. We encourage learning and development of high schoolers through the public speaking of the 4-way test speech contest. We pair Rotarians to service projects by emphasizing their vocational expertise and thinking the Refugee Project, Teachers Warehouse, the list goes on. We also seek out community involvement that aligns with what you already know. And we have incredible programs every week, just like this week, that give us insider knowledge about the vocations our community leaders are invested in. The wealth of knowledge in this room, on Zoom and in person, is truly staggering and can be connected on a much deeper level, I think. As we imagine in the upcoming year, that's our theme in Alon's presidency, I'm encouraging us to imagine the possibilities of mentorship, not just with prospective and incoming new members to our club as sponsors and guides, but with our Rotaractors and Interact clubs as well. We're all here because we have a drive to serve. Service above self isn't the neglect of ourselves and what we have to offer, but rather the celebration of what we have to bring to the table for the greater good. So if you're interested in talking about mentorship and how you can contribute to those efforts, please reach out to me. I'm excited to be in charge to help connect us in a deeper way to each other and our community. Thanks.
Awesome. Ashley, thank you for your service above self. 1 year ago, you were not standing at this podium, but we're in fact on Zoom welcoming the end of your term as president. And the good news is, I think Ashley and I may both get to go to the Rotary International Convention next year, since her year and my year were both canceled because of COVID. Okay, Marilyn Wood, could you please come forward and introduce our special guests and visiting Rotarians?
I am very pleased to welcome several guests with us today. Jane Martin, who's a guest of Michael Shermas from the Water Fund. Could you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. And two guests of Aaron Brewington, Jamie Snyder and Mike Snyder. A guest of Jim Bright, we have Michelle Cohen. Another guest of Jim, Vivian Bridges. Two visitors from the Brown County Rotary, Annie Hawk and Clara Stanley. A guest from Bloomington Sunrise, Cassandra Husky. And finally, back with us today is Liz Irwin from Duke Energy. Thank you all for being here, and please ask anyone for more information about Rotary. We will be pleased to welcome you at any time.
Thanks, Marilyn. And Joy Harder, do we have any guests on Zoom?
Yes, Sally, we do. We want to welcome Erica Dooley Dorok. Erica, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Sorry if I'm not. Erica is the new Vice President of Marketing with Smithville. So welcome to Erica.
Nice.
And Christopher MG. Also, I hope I'm not mispronouncing your last name. Okay, great. We welcome you both today to Rotary. I think that's it.
Thank you, Les. Thank you, Joy, and welcome also to all of you who are on Zoom. We can't see you all on our screen, but I know there's quite a few of you out there. So this week we have one birthday to celebrate amongst the ranks of Rotarians. John Hobson's birthday is June 24th. And indeed. And two member anniversaries. Ashley Wesley, did you know it's your anniversary? 7 years in Bloomington Rotary. Congratulations. Just think of what you can do in only 7 years. She's already the past president. And Amy Osajima, 5 years. I know Amy's on vacation in California this week. So congrats to both of them. And I want to thank, as always, my Dynamite Tech team, Michael Shermis, assisted by Alan Barker. Joy, thank you for being our ever-present and ever-fabulous Zoom host. Marilyn Wood, thanks for stepping to the plate and introducing our guests. The roundabout reporter for this week is Aaron Brewington. Aaron, man of many talents, thank you. And Ashley Wesley, thanks again for the reflection. I have a couple of announcements. One is to please remember to volunteer for the July 30th Teachers Warehouse Supply Drive. And Aaron, I'm hoping you can supply a link in this week's roundabout to sign up. Also, I noticed on tables, there is a charity golf outing to benefit Teachers Warehouse. So all of you golfers, I'm not among you, please sign up for that as well. It's amazing to me how much money golf outings can raise for charity. So let's do it. And my last announcement is that Bloomington Rotarians, as part of the Sibling City partnership with Palo Alto, California, Bloomington Rotarians will be going to Palo Alto from November 10th through the 13th. So please join us. Everyone's invited to get to know our sibling city and to get to know the Rotary clubs of Palo Alto even better. Please see either Alan Barker or me for more information. It turns out there's even a nonstop flight to San Francisco from Indianapolis once a day. And they're not expensive right now. Okay, every now and then, and today is one of those days, we get to further benefit Teachers Warehouse by the notion of happy dollars. Rotarians like to be happy, and I'm hoping that there are happy people in the room today. We ask for a small contribution to Teachers Warehouse. And you know, we haven't even done this since we've been back in person. I don't know why, but you're welcome to give your money in cash. Yes, Art, Omic, will someone please collect Art's cash? Let's see. Kyle is still eating. Who wants to, Lynn, would you please serve as our person who collects the dollars, the happy dollars? Okay, Art, you're first. However, you have to wait for the mic. Art is happy because his son was here for 5 days. Okay, who's next? Lance Eberly.
Again, just like to give some happy dollars to all those that did attend the changeover event this weekend. Again, thank you for being there. Certainly, it's going to be an honor to be of service, and I know I'll be kind of hit and miss starting July. My calendar starts filling up pretty quickly, but look forward to keeping in touch, and thanks for everyone's support.
And Lynn Schwartzberg.
And I don't know why, I'm just.
Lynn's just happy. Michelle.
I have 20 happy dollars. My mom was a teacher for over 20 years, so.
Woo, nice, thank you. Oh, we have so many happy people. This is great. Rex.
Okay, this is the 50th anniversary of Minnie University, and it was a great week.
Ah, nice. Annie Hawk from Brown County Rotary. But first, Jane Martin is happy.
I'm a guest and Michael bought my ticket, so here are 10 happy
Woo!
in your name, Michael.
Thank you, Jane.
I have 20 happy bucks. I want to thank, so Chamberfest Brown County just started last year, and we had a house concert at Dean Mooney's place, and Clara, I want to thank first, brought some Rotary people, and the people who came, Sally Gaskill, Charlotte Zetlow, Dr. Craig Spence, John and Kathy Friederling, and I want to thank Judy Schroeder for helping behind the scenes. So we had a great evening and made much better by Rotary people, Bloomington Rotary people. So thank you very much. And thank you to Alen, who is instrumental in getting us money from support from IU. From the Center from Rural
Engagement.
Let's be, and Kyla too. I just learned that Kyla's a mover and shaker there too. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Annie. It was a pleasure to be there. Judy Witt.
Sally, for having such a successful year. I know you
Aw.
have another week to go, maybe 2 weeks, somewhere along there, a couple more Tuesdays, but you've had a very successful year, and I
Aw.
congratulate you on that.
Thank you, Judy.
And for Lance for saying yes to becoming our next district governor. I don't know if many of you know, but I think this club may have the most district governors in the history of District 6580.
Bloomington Rotarians stepping to the plate. And Lance, it's an honor to have the banner here. I didn't think I was going to get it for my last 2 weeks. So the banner that's for all of you on Zoom, the home club has a large banner that says Home Club of the current district governor. Glenda Marie.
And I will just second the congratulations to Lance and the thank you to Sally and the congratulations to Alon, which I know we'll be talking more about that in the next week or two. But
All right. Oh, Lauren, we're so happy today. This is awesome.
Real $2 bill. I just want to thank anybody who was aware of the Rotary Ryder Cup that we played in. I played in with one of my compadres from the Franklin Rotary Club, John Ald, and we represented District 6580 on the south side. We won our match, but we didn't win overall. But what a cool event, bringing two districts, the North and the South District, together, and hopefully we can grow that event in coming years. But a great fellowship and getting to know Rotarians from other districts. So.
Thanks, everybody, and thanks so much for your happiness and for your generosity to Teachers Warehouse. And with that, Erin Brewington, would you please come to the podium? And Erin's going to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, Sally. It's with great pride and pleasure. Thank you.
It's with great pride and pleasure that I introduce today's speaker, my boss, Kellen Mccarty. Cullen is Executive Vice President and fifth generation owner of Smithville, which is located in nearby Ellettsville. Smithville is the state's largest privately held rural telecom company, serving over 20 counties in southern Indiana. A recognized industry veteran, for over 20 years, Cullen has been an advocate for ensuring competitive and robust broadband, particularly for rural areas. He regularly works with members of Congress to further policies that will promote a positive impact. Cullen currently serves on the Government Affairs Committee of the Indiana Broadband and Technology Association. On a local level, he is a member of the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission, the Greene County Economic Development Corporation Housing Committee, and is helping shepherd strategic relationships with Smithville's local rural electrical cooperatives. A longtime Hoosier, Cullen has a Bachelor of Arts degree from here at IU. He resides in Monroe County with his wife Rachel and their 2 children. Please join me in welcoming Kellen Mccarty.
All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here. I was saying at the table a while ago, there are a number of things that I could talk about. And I did go through my speech last night. I've given 2 of these previously. And so I'm also looking forward to what I have to say. These notes this is for reference that I brought up with me. But because there is a lot going on today, but I wanted to touch briefly on the history of the company. This is our 100-year anniversary. 1922 was when Smithville Telephone Company was created. And in the research we found, or I found, that it is intrinsically tied to the limestone industry. Back in 1922, really in the first quarter of the 20th century, Indiana limestone had a lot of challenges from a business perspective. And they even, at the turn of the century, had lobbied Indiana's congressional delegation for more business. And that included modern amenities, electricity, train, rail spurs, telephone, because we don't think of it today, but the limestone industry is a rural industry. You look at where our plants are or have been in the past, and those areas were extremely rural, especially when you look at Ellettsville, Bybee Stone, formerly Matthews Brothers. Cook has 2 facilities in old limestone mills. One is McNeely Brothers Stone, and the other is the Harding and Cogswell Stone. That was the middle of nothing at that time. And it was very, very rural, and thankfully the Monon came through town. That's why the town is shaped the way it is. It just kind of, it's like a back pillow for the railroad. If you look at the map, it makes it hard to distinguish east from west, north from south. You just have to look at the sky or your GPS in Ellettsville. But it was a very rural-centric industry, very blue-collar, brought the best craftsmen from England into this county. So when you look at 1922, and according to Joe Batchelor, he had written the economic history of the Indiana limestone industry back in 1944. And this is where I got some of this information. It was decided among a group of investors to build a telephone network connecting those 3 communities, Ellettsville, Clear Creek, and Smithville, that had the most vibrant industries in limestone at the time. So that investment was made. My great-great-grandfather was a part of that, Guy Draper. And over time, up until about 1930, he acquired various shares from family, friends. We're still trying to track down where some of the family came from. And because I don't think people back in that part of the century really took a lot of history seriously in terms of recorded history. And the corporate history we have is to be found within the records and the archives. The Snyders have helped find a number of things for us the past few months, and it's been a challenge. But what we've been able to cull is we have a lot of different agreements that have been made over time and stock certificates here and there. But overall, in 1930, when you look at the first decade of the business, Guy Draper took over the majority. You fast forward to well, not just a little bit. I don't want to skip over the limestone industry. In mentioning this to our employees at our employee 100th anniversary gala, we had a part to play in the limestone industry. It took a lot of effort, not just the railroad, but also the telephone. And if you think about it, a lot of the buildings around, let's say, Washington, D.C., Indianapolis, here in Monroe County, of course, that was during that first part of the 20th century. But you look at the buildings that were constructed with Indiana limestone and the reach of each of these projects, culminating in the Empire State Building in 1931. To say that we didn't have a part would be disingenuous. We did. It was a small part. It allowed those quarries to connect from rural Smithville, Clear Creek, Ellettsville to the rest of the world. Now, at that time, the easiest way to get to Ellettsville from here, put it in perspective, was really the railroad. State Road 46, Arlington Road, as we know today, was very small. And there is a remnant of that just in front of Hoadley Quarries. If you're driving west toward Ellettsville on Arlington Road and you go past Hoadley Quarries on the left, you'll see a little, kind of like a driveway, if you will, across the Stouts Creek. Well, that was State Road 46. And the railroad was the easiest way to get in. So Ellettsville was kind of isolated. Not really, well, not isolated by railroads, certainly, as a number of IU students used to visit. I had family who owned Kinney's Tavern. At one time, it was called Dido's. A lot of students came over in the 1930s for drinking and dancing. In my generation, they went to the pizza pantry for pizza buffet because you didn't have food in the residence halls on Sunday nights. But that was the same equivalent. You took the railroad. So we helped build that industry from, a very provincial industry into a far-reaching, far-impacting industry. So you fast forward to 1942, from a family perspective, my great-great-grandfather, Guy Draper, passed away in a car wreck on West 46, close to County Line Road. So my great-grandfather and his mother took over the company. Does that sound familiar? Son and mother. Edna Draper, and I think Fred Dunn is on Zoom. Fred Dunn would know this. Edna Draper was a Gillespie. The Gillespies came from Chapel Hill. If you've ever been around Chapel Hill, south of Lake Monroe, you know what I'm talking about. It's still very much a group of hardy people who live in southern Monroe County. She lived to be 86 years old, and she went into the office every day up until a few days before she died. So she took care of a lot of the bookwork. My great-grandfather, he was the wheeler dealer, and he took care of the network. So over time, in the 1950s, as we acquired a few loans here and there, he acquired different companies. You had farmers exchanges, mutual telephone exchanges throughout southwestern Monroe County, especially around Stanford and Smithville, and eventually into Greene County. He acquired a lot of those in Greene County. We cover all of southern and eastern Greene County. It's a very large territory, a lot of land and not a lot of people. So you go south into Orange County. We acquired Star Telephone in French Lick in 1957. And we cover all of western Orange County with our service. We cover northwest Tipton County. We did a next level grant project up there around the Sharpsville area. So it's kind of like a broccoli shaped territory going up US 31 from the Love's truck stop at US or State Road 28 onto the county line. A lot of farm ground. Hymera in Sullivan County and Liston in northwest Hendricks County. And we still don't know how Griffin in northern Posey County was acquired. That included Griffin and Stewartsville, because the rumor is it was probably actually Byron losing a card game, and we got that territory. So, but they're fibered, we're taking care of those folks. And they help complete our fiber ring throughout southwestern Indiana that goes from Griffin on up north to Chimera. It goes east and north into Jasper and French Lick and covers a lot of our territory. That was the original footprint, and we have that original footprint today. I think our acquisitions in Indiana stopped in the mid-60s with the Sharpsville acquisition. And during that time, there was a lot of change in the industry, and it was hard to keep up. And I think a pivotal moment for us as a company and as a family occurred at a rather boisterous town hall meeting at Edgewood High School in the gym in the early 70s, because the service level wasn't great. It was pretty bad, we know. We were as good as the technology we had at the time. But out of that, my great-grandfather, Byron Draper, was able to take those complaints, file them with the help of our legal counsel at the time, Bob McCrae, and developed a fantastic loan from REA, Rural Electrification Administration, now Rural Utility Service. That enabled us to build a brand new network. We built a new headquarters building where we are today on the west side of Ellettsville. We took the old building downtown and converted that into the Ellettsville Exchange and put a lot of equipment in that building. Because at one time, everything was in that building in downtown Ellettsville. So from that moment, I think that the company really started to take off. Byron passed away in late '74. My grandparents took over. So Patsy, his daughter, was the president, principal owner, my grandfather alongside. She controlled the inside, he did the outside. And at that time, like a lot of rural telephone companies in the 70s, early 80s, if you had equipment to pick up, you had to go to the supplier yourself. You didn't have the luxury of FedEx. You didn't have the luxury, barely, of UPS for that kind of equipment. You had to go and pick it up. You had to tow it. So those were the good old days. But they insisted on quality. Whatever we did, it had to be quality. And it took a long time to get us to where we are. So looking ahead now to 2003, my grandmother passed away in '98, grandfather in '03. My mom and I are left the company. We wanted to continue the company, and we did. And since that time, we have made the investment to go fiber to the prim in 2009 for residential. We made it in 2004 after we had a merger with Blue Marble, and things fell through with the collapse of the telecom bubble in early 2000, 2001. We absorbed Blue Marble, and we took the data clients and we replaced their T1 circuits with fiber here in Bloomington. And the rest is history from the business standpoint. But in '09, we started construction of our fiber to the home project. It was a great time to start projects because the T-bill rate at that time, which is how RUS determined the interest, it was in the low threes. And we had 20 contractors at our first contractor meeting in February of that year. There was a lot of hungry people at that time. So we were in a great spot. This required a $90 million loan from RUS, which we're still paying back. And it was a loan, not a grant. It was a loan. And we're still going. But because of the cost recovery we receive in rural areas, we're able to pay that back, and we're doing well. We've made other investments along the way, too. So we continue to invest in the network. We had a slowdown with reforms to the Universal Service Program in early 2011, 2012. We got through a very, very rough spot. I won't dwell on that, but it was the darkest time in our company's history, but we came out the other side. Thankfully, the FCC came to its senses because a lot of rural telephone companies were bleeding millions of dollars of cash each, and they were not getting their objectives done at the FCC. Thank you, Tom Wheeler. Tom Wheeler, when he was chairman, he changed that. So here we are today. It's 2022. We have fully fibered Ellettsville. We have fully fibered Gosport. The towns of French Lick, West Baden, city of Jasper. We have continued to build through neighborhoods here in Bloomington. We have a lot of business clients here in Bloomington. We're at Purdue Rail Yard up in West Lafayette. We are at Westgate. We made the decision to invest in Westgate back in 2005. It was still a cornfield. And lo and behold, the park is doing well. There is competition down there, but hey, we work that competition. We've been conditioned for 20 years to compete, and we do that well. A couple of years ago, we entered into an agreement with SEI REMC to partner in delivering fiber broadband to our overlapping areas in northwest Monroe County and southeastern Owen. That's 3,400 homes. That's 10% of their meters, and they're doing well. We really are grateful for that partnership. We continue to build up in close to Burma Road, close to the Morgan County line, and it's very satisfying to drive up there and see the cable being built. Those customers will come online by the end of the year, and we will continue to push into Owen County into next year. 2024, we keep our fingers crossed. We all do because of supply chain. But we're still doing what we're doing. In the southwest of this county, we're working with UDWI. It's a different partnership. They're providing the infrastructure in terms of a lot of the make ready, because you have to get the poles ready, and the attachment fees, and they're giving us an extended amortization, if you will, and helping us with the marketing once we're all ready and set to market. So we're adding several hundred homes. Close to 500 homes have been, or close to being online around the Sanford area. So we cover about 3/4 of the land mass in rural Monroe County, and there's a lot of work to do. So if you were to look at our territorial map, it goes a little bit east of I-69 to the north of Bloomington, and then it's all the south, where we cover all of southern Monroe County, around the lake and the causeway, everything down to the county line, even into Lawrence County just a bit. But SEI REMC is doing the east side, rural eastern county, Monroe County. So I think Monroe County is going to be in good shape come 2025. We'll have it connected. So there is so much activity going on. We have received a next level grant through the state of Indiana for building in eastern Greene County. So that's the Salisbury area, and we'll cover around 400 or 450 homes with that. And we'll continue to take advantage of grant programs where we can and what's feasible. But I think the state has done a good job of taking hold of the broadband program and the funding program with ARPA. That's very helpful, and I know a lot of us are grateful for that. So we keep an eye right now on our supply chains. That's the biggest issue we have. And we have made some strategic decisions that supplies are going to be sitting around for a while, but it's better to have them on hand than to wait. We are, as we continue to invest in our network, we're also continuing to invest in our people. So as we enter our next century, we've always invested in our people, but now we've taken it a step further through the Center for Creative Leadership. We have offered a training program that Mom and I do participate in, and it is with managers and supervisors and as well as our executive leadership team to help make them better, to give them ownership of the projects that they do, and to be better learners, to be better supervisors, managers, and just give them the professional development that is really hard to come by these days. So it's a lot less expensive. It's more organic, I would say, than a lot of programs out there. So we're working with them. We're working on innovation, trying to create a culture of innovation within Smithville. So we'll be engaging Jeff DeGraff with the Ross School of Business up in Michigan. Jeff has worked innovation with the biggest of the big guns, starting with Domino's Pizza in the early and mid 80s, working with Steve Jobs a long time ago, and Apple, among many others. Jeff is still engaged in a lot of activities across the world. And it's a privilege to get to know him. We met him through one of our trade conferences a couple of years ago. So the bottom line with that is we don't want our employees, we don't want the company to become stagnant. We don't want complacency to set in. Because once we have all the fiber in, and we'll get it all in, you're in the commodities business. You have service. You have to service that product. And you don't know what you're going to run into. But our technicians have done an exceptional job, especially the past 2 years, of delivering service in a safe and efficient manner. So we had a huge demand, as you might imagine, come March and April of 2020. And it was amazing how people discovered that the competition couldn't handle kids learning from home and mom and dad, or mom, dad, whatever, working from home. So we had a great solution through our supplier that we could hang it from the outside of the home, not hang it, but you kind of tuck it into the siding a little bit, or do what you need to do externally, and then go in through a kitchen window, or just like setting up a window air conditioner of old. That's how you did it, and people didn't mind. They really didn't mind. We were able to go back and put those facilities right, but our team did a great job. We were scattered at that time, like a lot of companies, and the back office and the techs, they worked together well. Very proud. So as we look to the future, as we look to the next 100 years, we don't know what's on the horizon, because we have a number of projects in the short term to keep us going, but we have an eye on what could be. And that's part of a mindset of innovation. It's part of that mindset of not being complacent. And that's the number one thing. It's really getting our employees to join us in ownership and executive leadership to understand where we're headed. We're headed toward finishing the projects we have done, that we have set out to do, number one. Number two, be prepared, because you don't know what's going to happen. In 2019, nobody knew. Nobody absolutely knew. Our sales figures couldn't have predicted. We probably couldn't have been met, honestly, in 2020. But we've been able to retain a number of those customers, and the competition knows that, and the competition has responded. And now as we head into whether or not it's a recession, we don't know. But customers are making choices. And ultimately, it is the customer. You build to the customer, and you market and sell to them, and you hope they'll take your service. And that's the other thing we're aware of. We know they have a choice, and that's what it boils down to. So that's why we work hard on also investing in our people, getting that buy-in and having that buy-in every day as a company. So as Aaron alluded to or said in his introduction, I'm the 5th generation. And the oldest of the 6th generation is, she's developing fine. She is with 4-H Operation Roundup, I'll say it, at Purdue, and she's learning well. Her grandfather and her uncle graduated from Purdue. I have nothing but great things to say about Purdue, because I honestly, the Research Foundation has been a great partner for us up in the research park, and it's a great school. So we're all about partnerships and collaboration, because that's what it takes in this environment, and any environment really, to make things happen. It's a very capital-intensive business, and we keep focused on that. We keep focused on our employees and our customers. And honestly, the competition we've had the past 20 years, it's made us a much better company, and it's positioned us well to head into our 2nd century. And who knows what that's going to bring, but we're proud of everything that people with our company have done. We have great team members, teammates, if you will. Couldn't be happier. It's a great spot to be in. So with that, that's the best I can do without going Beckminster Fuller on you. So I'll leave some time for questions. Yeah, Lynn? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you got them.
We have 26 people on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Cullen, I would like to personally applaud your company, your mom, and you for your financial support of the arts and culture in Bloomington and Monroe County, and I'm sure throughout the region. It is to be applauded. You are a company that represents yourselves well in this community.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. I come from a long line of musicians. I really do. Yes, I do. I think it's on your end, Michael. Anyway.
Colin,
Hi,
Colin,
Charlotte. Yeah.
yes, I've been watching Smithville for years, and you've really developed so well, and I congratulate you on that. I have a question that I don't want to be, it'll sound controversial, but I want to ask it anyway. This is a town that has been seeking, has promised broadband for the last 7 years, and we haven't gotten it because the city has not found a partner. And now they're going to France. Do you want to comment on that? You don't have to, but I would like to know how you feel about that. I feel that it's a stupid thing to have happened.
I can't argue with the business part of that answer that you gave. But honestly, this is, I hate to be, there we go. I will say this, and I'm not being flippant about it. This is the city's project. This is the mayor's project. We don't really have anything to say about it. We've been there and done that. I will add this because it's relevant to the backstory. At the mayor's request, we sat down with Axia back in the day, and we thought, okay, there may be a business case here. Don't know. They presented us at Axia with a rate schedule of fee upon fee upon fee upon fee. You know, you have your lease fee, then you have a connection fee, then you had a per door connection fee. That's a problem because you're paying rent. And, you know, to quote Jimmy McMillan, the rent was too damn high and we couldn't compete. Jimmy McMillan is a political activist in New York, and that was his tagline when he ran for governor and mayor. But I think that it's whatever the city wants to do, because when I asked the city about can we still expand under what they're doing, and they said yes. Okay, but I know AT&T is also building, and they're building fiber in the city, and that, you know, that's all I know. It's interesting, and that's really, I appreciate your approach to that question, but the answer is it's really not our concern. We're not concerned about it. We scratch our head too, like everyone else, but we did inform the mayor of our findings with Axia. There's a reason why it's taken this long. And when you talk to investment bankers, they'll tell you they will steer people away from open access. And that's just a plain macroeconomic statement, you know? So whatever the city does, okay. We'll see. Yeah.
Joy, do you have anything on Zoom? Any questions from Zoom?
So in my house, as many of you know, I live with an engineer, and the engineer likes answers. So I am pleased to congratulate you on being able to answer his questions when he calls blue marble support. It is fantastic.
Glad to. Thank you. Thank you. And they are good at that. Thank you. Yes. We love it. Yeah. That's a great seal of approval from Al. Thank you.
And since you're talking a little bit about the history, I'm remembering about 20 years ago that Smithville had programs with the schools to do television. This was before we all had our own Zoom at home.
Yep.
Yes. And it was at that point considered, when I worked at Continuing Studies, to be a really excellent, far-reaching, forward-thinking program. And I realize we don't need those particular kinds of things anymore, but I too want to say thank you for having thought of that many years ago.
That was my grandfather, and he was an educator, believe it or not. He studied at the School of Education at IU. And when my great-grandfather was in a very serious accident, we used to be in the electric business. But after Byron was almost electrocuted, we were no longer in the electric business because he had to do the service call as president of the company. And my grandparents were called back from to help run the company. He was seriously injured. They moved back from Orange City, Iowa. He was an educator out at the junior college out there at the time. So it's 30 years ago now that we did that. Japanese students and German students. And it was amazing. Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you, Sally. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Zoom.
Thank you so much, Cullen. And I want to echo Lynn's comments about the corporate support. I think of Smithville as being the consummate corporate citizen of our county. So thank you for your leadership and for your mom. Next week, before I forget, in honor of your presentation today, Bloomington Rotary will give a contribution to Tandem Birthing Center here in Bloomington. Next week, you're dying to know who the speaker is. Our speaker is Junior Blondell from WBWB WHCC Radio, better known as B97, and his topic is how to be an influencer. We'll be back in the Frangipani room, and looking forward to it. With that, Michael, could we please have the four-way test on the screen, and let's close the meeting by reciting together the four-way test plus one. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, is it fun?